Hey everyone, thanks for tuning back into my YouTube channel. Summer has finally hit East Texas. It's got to be in the mid 90s. It's been warm for a few days. I actually just got back into town and greeted by the heat that we typically are accustomed to by the 1st of June. I'm sitting here in my garage at the boat, came across a note that I had in my phone regarding treble hook sizes, upgrading treble hooks, and different things like that. Is actually something that I read that Greg Hackney put out. And I thought that would be a great topic, making those bait modifications to your crankbaits. And with me here I have a Strike King 1.5, KVD 1.5 square bill crankbait, and then I have a 2.5 square bill crankbait. And what typically you'll find with these baits is you generally have a size 4 with the 1.5 and a size 2 with the 2.5. When it comes to upsizing my hooks or upgrading my hooks, let's say I've pulled one out of the package and I've thrown it around a little bit, maybe I got hung up a couple times, maybe I've caught a couple fish, and I recognize, well, I need to upgrade my hooks on my square bill crankbait. I'll go ahead and take those off. Get yourself a good pair of split ring pliers. These are made by Owner. These are very effective. And so what I've done is I've taken off my treble hooks on this 1.5 and I'm gonna upsize my treble hooks. I have an Owner Stinger treble, and this is a short shank. So when I think about upsizing or upgrading my treble hooks, I think about the logistics of not having these two treble hooks catching each other. And you want them as close as they can, but without touching each other. So you want to upsize, but what generally happens when you upsize is the shank distance from, say, the top of the hook to the bottom of the hook increases with the overall size of the hook in the wider gap. So that becomes a problem if you want to upsize or upgrade your hooks. What you want to do is go to a larger size with a shorter shank. One of the ones that I found that I really like for this is the Owner Stinger Treble Short Shank. It's a ST-35 I'll actually post the model number of this hook in my description. But what it is a short shank, and it actually has, instead of being your traditional round bend like this, then it's got actually the more Kale style or O'Shaughnessy style bend, where you see the difference there. That design, I feel like, holds and hooks fish a little bit better. Typically with a treble hook, you have a hook that is equal distance between each point, and this one doesn't. This one has basically one wider area and then one that's more traditional. And what's great about that is when you have it on the bottom of your crankbait, and so that actually creates a greater ability for my treble hooks to stay in play. And so I want to be able to, when I'm going to put that on my split rings, I want to make sure that it's facing the right direction. I don't want it with the hook point up like this, but I actually want it with the hook point facing that way. One down and two to the sides. So I take my split ring pliers, and there's a little groove, and I just crimp that onto the split rings. It opens it up and enables me to slide that treble hook in there. And then the pliers actually help me to spin that treble hook, or spin that split ring around. And what you end up having is that hook hanging like this. Again, this is a size 2. This was your more traditional size that would come off of there. And that's a size 2. This is how you're basically going to open up this split ring. You're just basically going to take, you'll see there's these grooves right in here, and you just run that right on that edge, and that's going to actually end up opening that split ring, if you can see that. Just opens it up. It's kind of challenging when trying to do this from behind the camera. But once it opens up, just stick that on there and then just run it through. And I'm just rotating that split ring. Then you heard it click. And that would be the upsize and upgrade of that Strike King 1.5, and you can see the traditional hooks, which are the actual hooks that I pulled off this bait, how much that increases in the ability to grab and hold fish. I feel like it really does a great job of doing that. Now with the 2.5, I haven't taken off the hooks. These are the number 2s that came with the bait. Kind of show you my little process on how to get these. I just trimmed my fingernails, so it's kind of hard to do it, but I'm running my finger, I'm holding that split ring, running my fingernail in there to pry it open, then poop, or just pops right in there, and then I can slide this one off. It's something you can do in a pinch, during a tournament, but you can also wedge that split ring under your fingernail, and that's not fun either. So what I totally do recommend is getting yourself a good pair of split ring pliers, and that way you don't have any mechanical malfunctions resulting in a split ring being jammed underneath your fingernail. So there we go. Now just reopen that back up. I'm hoping you guys can see that. You just position that and it just opens it right up. Pop that open, and being careful to make sure that the flat or wider angle on that treble hook, that this flatter spot is going to be cupping or running flush with the belly of the bait. Sometimes you actually have to come in at an angle like this. Sometimes you actually have to wedge it against something. There you go. Just to get that point started, or the hook hanger, the loop started, and then there you go. So what you can see, what we've done here is we've really upgraded the size and the types of treble hooks with the purposes of hooking and landing more fish. What you're also going to notice is when this hook hangs down, it runs flat on the belly like that. But this one, you want it to run like that also. And you see I've got larger hooks, but they're not going to catch. And then it runs out behind it like this. You might think, some people might think you want it that way, but that's not the way that I run it. I run it, you know, basically opposite of the front one. But that's upgrading your hooks, upsizing them, and that's what's worked for me really well, especially with squarebills. You're going to fish these guys in and around cover. And what I like, another thing that I really like about this style of hook, when I'm fishing around wood and timber and rocks and brush, this style of hook actually point turns in a little bit, which is the thing that makes them hold fish better. But also, that's the thing that's going to, because it's pointing kind of back to the eye of the hook, it's going to help it when you're coming around cover as well. Still going to catch stuff, but not so much as these where they're sticking parallel to the shank of the hook. These will have a tendency to want to catch cover. Just to recap, I'm going from the 1.5, has these number 4s. I'm going to number 2s. And with the 2.5, I went from number 2s to number 1. And that way, I feel like you get maximum upsize in your treble hooks, but you don't impede the action. You're not going to ruin the action. You're still going to get maximum action out of the bait and still upsize your hooks and get maximum holding power and be able to hook and land those fish. I think that's really a key that I think makes a big difference. If you go ahead and you upsize too much, it can actually hurt the action of the bait, not necessarily with squarebills, not only with squarebills, but other crankbaits. Some crankbaits are a little more weight sensitive, and you can really change the action for the worse. So you want to be mindful of that when you're playing with with upsizing your hooks. You know, I've had people ask me, oh, what size do you go to? What type of hooks do you go to? And these are the ones that I typically go to. I'm gonna show you one more that I really like to use with not only square bills, but with other baits. Okay, so there are times when I just like the more traditional hook size that comes with the bait. There are times when I feel like if I'm fishing in open water or the fish are swiping at a bait, and then I want more of your traditional size hooks or traditional style round bends, and in those I will go with a Stinger treble, an owner Stinger treble, ST-35 RD, and I like to have a red one on the belly. It's something that I've done for years and years and years, from when red hooks first became popular, and whenever I have that available to me, I'll go ahead and put a red treble hook on the belly. I feel like as that bait's running forward like that, those fish will actually kind of go for that one. And if they don't go for the whole bait, if they're swiping, they'll kind of go for that red one, and this one will get kind of hook them on the outside or kind of catch them in another place, while this one hooks them on the inside. And so I feel like they go for that, they target that red, and that's why I'll go for a red style hook. And those are the two things that I typically do. If I don't want to upsize my hooks, then I'll just go back with the standard number 4 that goes on a 1.5 and the standard number 2 that comes on a 2.5. If I feel like changing and upgrading my hooks are not that important, that's what I'll typically do. Just a subtle difference in crankbait hook selection can go a long way at times, so take that into consideration. I basically only use the round bend and that shorter shank kale style hook. I feel like both have an application, both have a place in your box, so keep those things in mind. I hope this helps. Sorry I didn't go into all the crankbaits and all the different sizes that I use for each one, but that kind of gives you a reference point. My little treble hook box has grown into a big treble hook box because I've got, you know, feather treble hooks, split rings, snaps, different styles, different colors. But like I said, I got red and I've got some black chrome, and I've actually got some chrome ones too. And there's other hooks that have come out that I'm actually playing with as well. So those are the guidelines that I use for upgrading and upsizing my treble hooks. Right out of the package, those hooks are going to catch fish, but after like I said, if they get hung up a couple times or you catch a few fish, you notice maybe the points are dull and you don't want to go through the process of filing your hooks or sharpening your hooks, then definitely consider upgrading to some brand new ones right out of the package. Thank you for tuning into my YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed, please hit the subscribe button. If you like this video, you find the information helpful, go ahead and give me a thumbs up, and I would sure appreciate it. And until next time, thanks for watching and good fishing.